Hi there. Welcome back. It's Miss Shari Lyon, and I'm ready to share with you Chapter 3 of The North Wind. And as you can see at the top of that page, it says Chapter 3, The Cave. High up on the summit, Hans could see the inn and even his little house and the shed. While he was looking at the view, two breezes came to greet him, one from the east and one from the west. They were the Trade Wind twins, the official greeters of the Misty Mountains. "Looky here, West," the East Wind said. "It's a human being." The West Wind smiled a lovely smile at her twin brother. "Yes, it is." Then she turned to Hans. "You must be very brave and strong to climb all the way up this mountain. What brings you here today, young master?" West Wind asked in a warm, soothing voice. "I came to get my flower back," Hans said. "The north wind blew it all away, and now we don't have enough to last us the rest of the winter until the spring thaws come, and we can buy more." The Trade Wind twins looked at Hans and shook their heads. East Wind frowned. The North Wind is a little grumpy this morning. He won't come out of his cave." "But I've traveled such a long way. My mother and I will have no bread for the rest of the winter if the North Wind doesn't give me back what he blew away." West Wind smiled at the boy. "You have a good point, young master, and you are determined. Maybe we can get him to come out of his cave." And with that, the twins blew Hans in the right direction of the North Wind's cave and disappeared in a pair of gentle poofs. The cave was a giant, icy black hole in the snowy mountain. Oddly, though, on top of the mountain was a huge oak tree, all hung about with icicles that were all the same size. For the first time since his journey began, standing there in front of the North Wind's cave, Hans felt a little bit afraid and a lot alone. He reached into his satchel and clutched the tiny copper coin his mother gave him before trembling fingers. He knew he had to be polite with the North Wind. Hans swallowed hard to make his fear and anger at the North Wind go away and said, "Excuse me, Mr. North Wind? Are you in there? It's me, Hans, the boy from the tiny little shed." No answer. After a time, and after a nervous moment, Hans tried again, but a little louder this time and a little stronger. "Excuse me, Mr. North Wind, I am sorry to bother you, but I have come for my flower, sir." Still, there was no answer. Hans cleared his throat and in a manly voice that even surprised Hans, he said, "Mr. North Wind, please come out. It's me, Hans, and I have come a long way to get back the flower that you blew away. I need you to help me. Please come out, Mr. North Wind. Please, sir." Nothing came out of the dark cave except a poof of cold air, cold white air. Hans took the flour sack off of his satchel and opened it up at his feet. He mumbled under his chilly breath, "Any time, Mr. North Wind. You can fill the flour sack any time now, but please hurry up. It's cold up here." "I heard you, boy," came the bellowing voice from the cave. Then, in a whooshing blast of freezing air, there he was, the North Wind himself. He floated in a great shape-changing ball close to Hans, making him shiver. "What do you want?" Mr. North Wind bellowed again. Hans stammered, "You what, boy?" My flower," Hans said. I want my flower back. North Wind laughed. You want your flower back, do you? You careless boy. Yes, sir. Impossible, the North Wind said, blowing the word out in a great gust that almost knocked Hans over. You were a careless boy. You left that sack open on the snow. Wanted to teach you a lesson. Hans shook in his shoes and could not speak. The North Wind frowned at him and asked, Boy, where am I supposed to get flour up here, eh? Well, said Hans, looking around, I don't know. But you surely have the flour that you took from me 2 days ago. Hans pointed to the open flour sack at his feet. That was the last of our flour until spring. What are my mother and I to do? The Northwind looked at the boy. To do? What are you to do indeed? Hans asked. Sorry, that wasn't Hans. The North Wind asked. I told you, I was teaching you not to be so careless. Yes, sir, and now you and your mother have a problem. Mr. North Wind said. Yes, and all I need is the flour back and I will go away, Hans replied. The North Wind came closer to Hans. I cannot give you your flour back. It's gone with the wind. Hans was not cold any more, even with the North Wind so close to him. Then what am I to tell my mother? She is counting on me, and you don't want to disappoint her, do you? North Wind said in a breath of fresh air. Hans nodded. Well, began the North Wind, there might be something I can do for you. I cannot give your flour back. You have come a long way. I will give you something else. As if out of nowhere, the Trade Wind twins were there with a pretty blue checkered tablecloth. Here, the North Wind said, take this tablecloth home with you. Pardon me, Mr. North Wind, but without food, what good is a tablecloth? Aha! You may be careless, but you are a smart lad after all. Yes, that's true. But this is a magic tablecloth. Magic? Hans asked. Yes, magic, North Wind repeated, and then, with a loud whoosh, the North Wind was gone. All you have to do is spread out the tablecloth and say, tablecloth, tablecloth, make me a meal, and it will, said the East Wind. Hans stared at the blue checkered tablecloth. How does it know what food to make? It knows. Just picture what you want to eat, and the tablecloth will make it for you, added the West Wind. See, no need for flour in that sack. Just put the tablecloth in there instead. His eyes were still on the tablecloth when Hans said, Can I try it first? Of course, said the Trade Wind twins together. West Wind said, Just spread it out, picture what you want, and say, tablecloth, tablecloth, make me a meal. That's all there is to it. Hans took the tablecloth from the twins and spread it out on the snowy ground. He said the words, and before he could even blink, there was a steaming mug of hot chocolate and warm, buttery cinnamon toast. Oh my! Hans exclaimed. It is magic. Smiling, he looked for the North Wind to thank him, but he was still nowhere to be seen. The twins told Hans it was time to leave the mountain, so he thanked them, took up the hot chocolate and the toast, put the magic tablecloth into the flour sack, and let the twins blow him in the right direction. See you in a minute for Chapter 4. There's more.